Hello, this is Rachel from Cypress Textiles, and today we're going to make the bonsai tree square from the 2018 Vibrant Vintage Crochet Along, 2018. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with this Shapeless Soft Fun Denim. So first we're going to make a ring by chaining 3 and then putting a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook to make a ring. And then in the ring, I'm gonna just go ahead and put my hook in the ring and pull up a loop to make my beginning DC. So that's a single crochet and a chain 1, and I'm not gonna chain up for that single crochet or anything, just go straight into the loop and make it. And then I'm gonna chain 2 more for the corner, make a DC, chain 1, DC, and then I'm going to chain 2 for my corner again, and that is my repeat. So I'm going to do that 3 more times till I get back to my first corner. Okay, so now I've got my chain 1 on the hook and I'm ready to join into that beginning DC. So I'm going to make sure I catch these back 2 bars of my chain from my beginning DC and go ahead and make a slip stitch. All right, so for the next round, we're gonna jump straight into this chain space. We're gonna make a slip stitch in the first chain, and just make sure your slip stitch is really loose and over that chain and not puckering at all. And then into the chain space, you're gonna make a beginning DC, so single crochet, chain 1, and then chain 2 for the corner again. And this time we're gonna make 2 double crochet in the corner. All right, and then chain 1 and make a puff stitch in this chain 1 space here. So we're going to yarn over and insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now keeping this loop the same length on this hook, you're going to yarn over again, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert the hook, pull up a loop. So you do it 3 times total, where you yarn over and insert your hook in the same chain space. Now I'm going to yarn over and draw my yarn through all these loops on the hook, and that's my puff stitch. So now I'm going to chain 2, and I'll show you more about that in a second, why I chain 1 before and 2 after. So then we're going to go into our corner. So it's double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet again in that corner. Twice, double crochet 2 times in that corner. So your corner is 2 DC, chain 2, 2 DC. Okay, so back to this little side here. I want to show you guys why I chain 1 before a puff stitch and 2 after. So when you chain 1 before a puff stitch, it still looks like you've chained 2, and that's just the nature of a puff stitch. This little chain right here is kind of like part of the puff stitch. It happens whenever you bring your it's your working loop from before you started your puff stitch, because you just bring that yarn through to go close the puff stitch, and then it looks like you've got 2 chains there. So if you only chain 1 after, then you're gonna end up with a puff stitch that's off center. So you notice how I chained 1 before and I chained 2 after, but yet the puff stitch still looks in the middle of these chain spaces, and you can really tell whenever you don't do it this way. So that is how we're going to do our puff stitch in our side there. So we're going to work around in the same fashion around our square until we get back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning now, and I went ahead and placed my final double crochet in the first corner there to complete it. And now I'm ready to join with a slip stitch into my beginning DC like before. So I'm going to just insert the hook through the beginning DC chain and then make a slip stitch. All right, so I'm ready to work into this chain space again, and this time we're not gonna slip stitch into the chain, we're just gonna go straight into this chain space with some puff stitches. So I'm gonna elongate the working loop so that it's about the height of a puff stitch. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and make a regular puff stitch. So 1, 2, and 3, and then draw the yarn through all the loops. I'm going to push this over because we're going to make some more puff stitches in this corner. I'm going to chain 2, make a puff stitch, chain 2, and remember your puff stitch can only be as tall as your shortest loop of the puff stitch. So if you're wanting it to stand up tall, you got to make sure you don't tighten up those loops as you're making your puff stitch. You have to make it be real gentle with it so that you're not, you have to kind of ease up on your tension. That way you're not tightening the loops as you go when you're making your puff stitch. And then now that we've got 4 puff stitches in the corner with chain 2 in between each one, so I've got 4 puff stitches and 3 chain 2 spaces there. I'm going to make another chain 2 to finish it out, and then I'm just going to work double crochet in this chain space, and then chain 1 to go over this puff stitch, and then double crochet in the next chain space. All right, now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go ahead and start in my puff stitch corner. So now I'm at my repeat. I'm going to do the same exact thing with these 4 puff stitches that I did right here and work around in the same manner until I get back to the beginning. Alrighty, so my round is complete and I have a chain on my hook now ready to join into the first puff stitch. So where I join on a puff stitch is I work into the chain that I used to close the puff stitch when I drew the yarn through all of the loops on the hook. That's where I join because I feel like that's where it looks the most natural, and it also allows me to start working into this chain space right away. All right, so in this chain space I'm going to work 3 single crochet, and then in this corner chain space 2 singles, chain 3 and 2 singles. Okay, and then the next chain space 3 singles. All right, now I've got 5 chains and stitches here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In all those 5, I'm going to make a single. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, skip over your puff stitch and make 3 singles in your next chain space. And then you're at your corner again, so I'm just going to go into my repeat here. I've got 2 singles, chain 3, and 2 singles. So that's how my side is going to look. And I'm going to work in this way around the square till I get back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm to the beginning of my square now, and my final single of this round is in this chain space here. And so I'm going to just slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. All right, and I'm ready to work into my next stitch. I don't like to work into the joining stitch. I have to work into the next stitch here, which is the center single of this 3 single grouping here. So I'll just make a beginning DC here. So go in there straight with a single crochet and then a chain 1. And I'm going to chain again for a chain space. And now I'm going to work into my corner with the same thing I did on this round, these same 4 puff stitches. So I'm just going to work straight into that corner with a puff stitch. Okay, 3, go through all the loops, chain 2, okay, chain 2, and my last one, I'm going to scoot these puffs over so it'll fit. All right, and chain 2. Okay, so after I chain 2, I'm going to skip 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to work into that same center single of these 3 singles with a DC. Okay, and now I just want to chain 1, skip 1, DC. Chain 1, skip 1, DC. Chain 1, skip 1, DC. And last time, chain 1, skip 1, and DC. And now we're back to that center single again. Okay, and just chain 1, and that's our repeat. So I've got to go straight into my corner again with my 4 puff stitches with the chain 2 spaces in between. Okay, and we'll work around with that repeat. Alrighty, so now I'm at the beginning of my square, and remember we did our beginning DC in the beginning, so now I've got a chain 1 on the hook and I'm ready to join into that beginning DC with the slip stitch. Okay, so now that round is complete, and our next round is going to be our final round. So I'm just going to start into this chain space with 2 single crochet, and same thing with the next one, 2 single crochet. And now I'm in my corner chain space where I'm going to put 5 actually, 5 single crochet, 3, 4, and 5. All right, now in all of these chain spaces across, I'm going to put 2 singles, but once you get to this center double crochet, you got to put a single crochet in there just to get our stitch count to be correct, so that you have 88 singles all the way around. Okay, and I'm up to that. You should go 4 chain spaces with 2 singles in between each one, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're to our center DC, so we'll put a single crochet in there, and then take these next 4 spaces to put 2 singles in each one. All right, now we're at our corner. Oh, not yet. And then we're at our corner now for 5 singles. And that's our repeat, y'all. This is a super fun square, and all I have to do left is just finish up this single crochet round so we can join and weave our tail. Alrighty, so that round went surprisingly quickly, and I'm at the beginning now, so I'm going to make a slip stitch in the first single crochet of the round, and then I'm just going to break my tail and pull it through, and now I'll weave my tail in there, go in from the back to the front through the stitch to the left of the joining stitch, grab that tail and pull it to the back of the work. You've gone through both loops on that stitch, and so that your slip stitch acts now as the top of your joining stitch there. Now to the stitch to the right of the joining stitch, grab the tail and pull it back, and then that is the same maneuver that you're going to use to weave your entire tail. My actual tail is really long this time, so I won't be weaving it all the way, but just to show you, you go back to front through back loop only, grab the tail and pull it to the back. All right, and that's how you're going to bury your tail. And that is the bonsai tree square, the bonsai square for the Vibrant Vintage Crochet Along VVCAL Reboot 2018. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye guys, happy crafting.